Right, welcome to the Fearless Training Christmas Party vlog. Why am I dressed as Santa Claus? Well, you're about to find out in one of the other vlogs, but I'm going to amalgamate it. What a way to start. What a year it's been, 2021. Yeah, what can I say, guys? This is a celebration. This is just building the Fearless community. I'm grateful. Thank you for each and every one of you lions who are out there, whether you're there in spirit or whether you're there in one-on-one or online. I appreciate you. I really, really do, because without you, this doesn't exist. Anyway, I'm gonna get inside before I melt and get some sick content. And again, you can imagine this is Tracy Eaton's good work as to why I may be dressed as I am, painted, but why not? All right, let's get into it. We're going to be talking nutrition, we're going to be talking training, we're going to be talking lifestyle, alcohol, sweet treats, all of the above. And you can apply these to any season because, let's face it, there's always a wedding, an event, and something that's going to get away in your physique goals, but you can actually work around them. So let's find out how we can do that, and let's get in here to start it off. All right, we're here, my favorite section, ice cream. I love ice cream. And if you don't like ice cream, it's like people who don't like dogs. I don't really trust you because, I mean, who doesn't like dogs and ice cream, right? Anyway, so one of the things that you want to consider when you walk into a supermarket, any supermarket, is there's a little bit of psychology at play. So most of the things that you actually need are around the perimeter. So if you think about when you come into a supermarket, most of the time, you're going to hit the fresh produce first. Your fruit, your veggies, your lean meats. They're the things you want to concentrate on. And then from there, you sort of move around to your dairy, your frozen goods like we are now. And a lot of the aisle things are not necessarily something that you always need. So they do obviously contain things like your cleaning products and things you need every now and again. But for the most part, they are just there to kind of add a little bit of distraction and help you spend more money. Although you can go and have some of those goods, make sure that the majority of your shopping is done around the perimeter of the supermarket like we're here now. And then you'll save time, save money, and save yourself confusion. And then you can have a few sweet treats as well. Speaking of which, let's go and take some of those. Cinnamon, you know, really popular, right? 1,000 calories for a big one, 500 calories roundabouts for a small one. How are you going to fit that into your calories? Well, I like to use the 80-20 rule as a bit of a broad stroke. So, for example, 80% of your food is going to come from whole foods, foods from the earth, foods that your grandma would recognize. 20% of foods you've got to have fun with. They're processed, right? They're going to be those sweet treats, those baked goods that you really desire, i.e. Cinnabon. If you know what you're putting in, you know what you're getting out. And if you start tracking your calories, that will give you the power to okay, well, if I have an allowance of, say, 2,000 a day, how could I fit some of that, maybe not as much as you want within those calories, or even offset it from calorie borrowing. So for example, say you're coming up to an event and you might go, cool, my daily calories is 2,000, let's take 10 to 20% off. We don't want to take too much because then we'll increase hunger too much. We get to that event, we can go, okay, we've taken 200 calories off 5 days and now we've got an extra calorie allowance of 800 or above, depending on how many calories you've got to play with. That will give you a bit of a buffer, it will equal out the weekly average, and it will allow you to enjoy yourself a little bit more without overindulging, but also maintaining and staying on track to your goals. So you can try that one next time you've got an event coming up, i.e. Christmas Day or even Boxing Day. You know, it's that time of year. It's going to be a few drinks bouncing around, a cheeky sherry, a cheeky gin, a little bit of Baileys if you're like me. Now, ultimately, we're probably going to have a drink over the Christmas period, if you're like most people. However, if you're into fitness, you're probably not going to be a massive drinker. And if you are, you need to have a word with yourself in the mirror and figure out your goals, right? I'm only joking, but seriously, if you're into fitness, you're probably not going to drink a lot, but if you are, there are a couple of things to consider because it does work a little bit different than calorie distribution. We don't want to save loads of drinks to one day and get completely smashed. And if you do, it's only one day. The problem occurs when you do it all the time. Like most things, it's what you do most of the time that counts. So for example, based on the literature and what we currently know, 1 to 2 standard drinks a day we can get away with. I'm not encouraging you to drink every day, but it's good to know when we have these Christmas periods where we have multiple holidays stacked up in a row. So be mindful, implement it in with balance, and make sure again you find a happy medium based on what you want. It's more about the company and the enjoyment of the drink as well as the environment rather than just drinking for the effect. So keep that in mind next time you're at the dinner table or next time you're reaching for the Baileys. Bets are in, you're going to be at a restaurant this silly season, right? We're going out, Christmas parties, events. We've talked about some fast food and we've talked about some strategies for calories, but how do you track when you're in a restaurant? Well, if you're in a major chain, then it's a little bit easier because usually there's an entry if you're using MyFitnessPal or MacroFactor or another system or tool on your phone that can track it well. However, even then it can be inaccurate. So a couple of tips is this. You want to guesstimate as best as you can by looking at the main macro ingredients. So for example, in the meal that you get, so say I'm at Seiko here, this is like a Japanese teppanyaki restaurant, I would have a meat element, I would have a rice, a carb element, and I would have some vegetables, and the fat is obviously going to be in combination. So let's say I have a dish which is exactly that. So I have my beef, which is going to be my protein, so I'm going to do my best to eyeball it. Is it eye fillet? Is it lean? Is it grilled? All of this. And you want to put that explanation, or should I say definition, into your tracking app as best you can. It's not going to be perfect, but at least it's something. You always want to overestimate as well because likely it's going to have more oil and more calories than you think because that's what restaurants are about. They're there to make food taste good. They're not there to make you fat. They're just trying to do their best to give you the best experience so you come back. The carbohydrate element would be the rice, and depending on what vegetables are there, any high carb vegetables like carrots, etc., or potatoes, I could track those too. Once again, what's the cooking method? Are they grilled? Right? Are they fried? Are they steamed? That's going to have a big component to the tracking accuracy. And then the fat is generally going to be the oils, the butters, the marinades, and the sauces. So make sure you don't leave those out as well. You can also make sure that you're choosing things, if you are in a calorie deficit, that are a little bit more leaner in nature. So go for things that are grilled, go for lean cuts of beef, and maybe stay away from those high calorie sauces. So there's your tip when you're hitting the restaurants. All right, I think we need to talk about steps. Let's talk about the gym, right? So this is a great way to offset energy balance. So a lot of you are into training, you want to look better, you want to feel better. Now, there's a bit of a myth about strength training. It actually doesn't burn that many calories, right? And that doesn't really seem to make sense because of the fatigue that you feel after strength training. But what strength training does do is it uprates the metabolic rate for up to 24 hours, and it causes a lot of other adaptations which create an energy demand, i.e. repairing muscle, and also the accretion, i.e. the creation of muscle tissue. So, despite what your Apple Watch says, strength training is going to be one of the best ways for you to cause a demand for energy, but it's not going to be the primary mode. So I'm going to give you some other tips on steps and NEAT, as well as just some tips around cardio as well, so you can offset it within your favor. But if you had a big workout and you've got some high calories, it's the best way to spend them. Let's head in and talk about some steps. Let's talk about steps versus cardio. So steps, we're generally classing that as NEAT. That's an acronym for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is going to be a great way to offset your energy balance without working into specific cardio. So cardio is generally something that's done at a higher intensity level. So we want to separate steps, and they're generally best to be done out the gym. So you want to save the time for your strength training in the gym, and generally if you're doing steps, get out, enjoy the beautiful weather, do it in the morning, do it in the afternoon, do it after or before your meal, and that way you're going to cause or create a bigger demand for a calorie allowance so you can offset your energy intake with doing steps. And if you really want to as well, you can do a couple of high intensity sessions, but be smart in the gym. The best investment of time is in resistance training to actually get that physique that you want. If you do loads of cardio, you're not really going to look like a strength athlete, you're going to look like a string bean. So keep that one in mind.
Thank you to my lovely mentor and coach, Mr. Felix, Alex Connor. Any words of inspiration to send us off into the silly season?
Yeah, my favourite too, stay fearless.
Boom.